Frustration is mounting in parts of Johannesburg as taps remain dry in large parts of the city. The Brixton, Berea and Hursthill 2 reservoirs were isolated last night, while the Crown Gardens and Alexandra Park outlets remain closed. The city has increased the number of roaming water tankers to 28. This will be supplying residents most affected by the eNCA system pump failure. Parts of Pine Slopes also remain without water after more than a week of unresolved issues. All right, now reporter Manqoba Mchunu joins us with the very latest as the frustration, as we stated, continues to mount in parts of Johannesburg. Manqoba, what are residents saying this morning?
I can certainly tell you that residents are frustrated here when Robertsham, which is one of the areas that has been hard hit by the water shortages, residents telling us that it's now been 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks, 14 days that they've had no water in this area. And of course, you recall, Mfundo, that these are the very same residents that marched to the Joburg water on Monday to raise the issues as far as the water issues concerned, and they were demanding that their water be reconnected by the city. But of course, we know that there's been challenges as far as the supply is concerned, with Joburg Water saying that it's Rand Water that is actually not supplying enough water. We understand that there is an issue as far as the eNCA pump station is concerned. Some of the infrastructure damage that has occurred there. And so these residents are saying that, for them, it's really become unbearable because they have to bath, they have to take children to school, they have to cook, and they have no water for the past 14 days. So you can just imagine the frustrations here on the ground. In fact, we are here, Fundo, at one of the boreholes in the area. In fact, residents have now resorted to using this particular borehole just to try and get some water. It is a borehole from one of the residents here who has, allowed these residents to come here to access this water. So we've seen quite a number of them, cars that are parking here, people that are frustrated, carrying buckets, carrying containers just to try and get water. And you can understand, Fundo, how difficult it must be for them not to have water. But I'm going to speak to just the residents to get their sense. So if I can just speak to you, surely, yeah, okay, he's a bit shy of speaking on camera. Can I speak to you, sir? Okay, he's also very shy. Maybe let's try and get you, sir, to speak to us. So just the situation, how bad is the situation, and how are you coping as a community?
The situation is very bad. In particular, Robertsham, the water crisis actually started last year in around October. So haphazardly, there will be water and then there will not be water. However, in the past 3 weeks, specifically a section of Robertsham hasn't had water at all. The councillor has been on and off. She's not clear what's happening. Then the community were up in arms. Then they staged a protest in one of the Joburg water depots here in Hursthill. That was 2 days ago when we had a meeting with the city, with our local councillors as well as Joburg Water. Eventually water did come. Remember, there was no alternative water in terms of JoJo tanks or water bowsers, nothing. Only when we did a protest, they brought that stuff in. A day later, within 24 hours, there's suddenly no water in the whole area. Now, when we find out what's happening, Rand Water is being blamed by Joburg Water. Our councillors are trying to talk to Joburg, to Rand Water, but they know also that Rand Water will not talk to them because Rand Water only talks to their stakeholder, which is the city. So we have spoken to the MMC. We have spoken to the leadership of Joburg Water in terms of the MD, Mchaven. No one is willing to take responsibility in terms of what is actually the problem. Rand Water is not at liberty to come and talk to us and tell us exactly when are they going to pump enough water, because they're telling us that reservoirs are half empty or half, and they cannot risk, recirculating water. So we're actually a run around everywhere. No one is willing to tell the community straight up, when are we going to have enough water, and then everyone can live their normal lives again. Because the situation is a mess. And most importantly, in particular with Robertsham, we are now in a period of Ramadan. It's doubly difficult, especially for people in the Muslim community, because now how do you then go through that process without having water? Our mayor is a Muslim person. We've made efforts to talk to him to say, dude, remember, this is the community that we are serving here. We have not had a response from them.
Have you heard from these entities? Have they given you an explanation as to why you've had no water, though?
They give us technical reasons, but the actual solution no one is giving us. So as I'm saying, part of our community has gone to listen to Randwater today. So I'm not sure if that meeting has started as yet at Randwater to get an answer as to what exactly is happening. But the situation is dire. Randwater is actually failing the whole community, not only us, but the entire city of Joburg.
Okay, thank you, sir. And just take us through the frustrations. I know that as residents, it's quite an inconvenience.
It's very inconvenient, and that's right. It's you say, I say situation here, right? Joburg Water is blaming rainwater. So we don't know where the problem is lying, whether it's a technical problem, an engineering problem or what, right? I personally have made about 8 phone calls to the mayor and he hasn't responded as yet. And that's very, very frustrating.
Right. No, thank you, sir, for speaking to us. Well, we can hear Mfundo. Just some of the residents, some of them, quite upset. They don't even want to talk about their frustration. They're saying that, of course, it's not easy. They've tried to reach out to the city. They marched to them, but they're not really getting the answers as to when the water will be restored. It's not this area only in Mfundo that has been affected. Many areas here in the south have been affected. Areas like Southdale, we're told areas as well, just further down from here have also been affected. And, there are a lot of frustrations here on the ground as far as this situation is concerned. Of course, as you can see, the residents now just relying on this particular borehole from this house to just try and get some access to water. See, the councillor here in the area is also here. Just, councillor, if I can maybe just ask you, I know that, you've also been trying as far as this situation is concerned, but how bad is it?
It's very bad. It's tragically bad. It's inhumane. And first and foremost, before I start with anything, I would just like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to the people that's supplying our residents with water, whilst they are also paying for water. And Joburg Water and Randwater is supposed to supply us, but they say nothing. I'm just off the phone with our communications from Joburg Water. They didn't receive anything to feed back to the community. Not the levels, not the pumping, nothing thus far. I was waiting for the mayor. He still didn't contact me. We're supposed to have a meeting in the area this morning. He still didn't contact me. So what feedback do I give to my residents? What feedback do I give to the people at large there? There's old people, there's sick people, there's children here. We've got schools here. This is unacceptable, unacceptable. We're meeting Joburg Water and Randwater this afternoon, 1 o'clock. And then they ask, can it be visual? It just shows how cowardice they are. They don't want to meet us face to face because this is a crisis. National, please come in. The Minister of Waterworks, please come in here because we need you guys. What is the real problem? There is no real problem to this. They can't say it is a pump. They cannot keep on saying there's a trip. They cannot keep on saying it's a purification system. Give us the truth.
And I hear, Councillor, that this is, a problem that, this community faces regularly, the issue of water. It's not an isolated incident.
It's not an isolated incident. It is something to do with the I don't know how the waterworks work, but it's a pipe that it must feed, and I don't know. But I asked him, can you not take them off the reservoir, put them on the towers? What is so difficult about that? Because there's 2 towers here. Why did we build the second tower in the first place? It's to serve the community. Not for nice features in our areas, but to serve our community. That is what I'm asking. I even asked him, can they not bypass this 11th Street is so subject to this problem?
So what's going to happen now, Councillor? Because, people are frustrated on the ground. They're also saying, when we ask the councillor, we're not getting answers. What's going to happen next? I know that you also held a protest here.
Yes. I cannot even tell you what's going to happen next because I want answers at 1 o'clock from Randwater to tell me what is the next step. They must tell us what the next step is. Because we need, if they don't give me answers by 1 o'clock this afternoon, I am going to go to rainwater and I'm going to mobilize there and they will give the community answers then. Because if they don't want to give me answers to give to my community, we must go as a collective to go and demand answers from them.
Thank you for speaking to us. That was Councillor Rashida Landers, the councillor here in the area, just also venting out a frustration as far as this issue is concerned. It tells you just how people are feeling here in this community, and one can imagine, Fundo, not having water for 2 weeks, not a drop of water, is quite frustrating.
It certainly is frustrating. Manqoba, we'll leave it there for now and catch up with you a bit later on. That's our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu.